Hello, my name is Barry Pittendry. I'm the John V. Osmond Endowed Chair Professor at Purdue University, and I'm former director of the Legume Systems Research Innovation Lab, which has since been closed. I'm also the co-director of a program called Scientific Animations Without Borders. So today I'm going to talk about i2i and our interactions with i2i, or at least i2i influencing our thinking on multiple aspects of the Legume Systems Research Innovation Lab and Scientific Animations Without Borders, which was part and parcel of the Innovation Lab, or was at least supported by the Innovation Lab. Throughout the development of i2i, our team had participated and interacted with Pete Goldsmith's team in the program, i2i program itself. We had a wonderful opportunity to engage with their team members and with USAID team members around this concept of how do we take innovations to scale? How do we take it to quote unquote market, be it a value chain, or how do we deploy information at a large scale through systems? So either tangible products that could be sold in a marketplace or products that might go through a pathway that involves public good approaches. So we place several of our technologies through the i2i process as well. As is very obvious, our team has since dispersed, so I unfortunately am not in a position to gather a lot of their input and feedback that would have allowed me to put together this presentation. However, as former director, I will give a broad spectrum impact of i2i on our thinking of scaling and scaling. I'm also going to talk about scaling in our new reality. We are obviously in a very changed situation where resources are going to be very limited moving forward in the international development space. So how do we use those resources in a much more cost-effective manner? And how do we scale in profoundly cost-effective systems? So fundamentally, I always look at development, and there's really three parts. There's, of course, policy, but there are physical technologies. One can call them widgets that maybe improve seed. It could be fertilizer. It could be certain types of machinery, etc. But it's a physical product that needs to be taken through a given pathway. But there's also educational solutions. And those are educational solutions that are taught to people in order to be standalone. They may be something that people can use to change something they do in their given environment, or it may be supporting a physical product. So people may not know how to properly use that physical product without that educational intervention also supporting it. So these are called knowledge products, and I'll talk a little bit about, actually more of my talk is going to be around knowledge products and how do we scale knowledge products. But before I begin, I just want to talk about one of the widgets that we put through this process, which are bruchid-resistant beans. And the bruchid-resistant beans that we were developing to move forward were based on three tightly clustered genes. It was not a transgenic, but it occurred from a wide cross from tepary beans. So there are three genes that ultimately conferred very high levels of resistance to bruchids. Basically, bruchids were not able to survive on them. And my area of expertise is in the molecular basis of pesticide resistance, as well as resistance management modeling, and specifically in stored products. So I'm very well aware that this is a very that has the potential to be very long-term stable resistance against insect attack, with potentially the ability to last for numerous decades in order to control insect pests in storage. And for those of you that know a little bit about stored product problems, bruchids can sometimes cause complete loss of a stored crop if they are in there long enough. So this was a real game changer in terms of a technology. So during our innovation lab, we brought forward this resistance traits into over a dozen different market classes, and we worked directly with the private sector for approval to bring forward these into the market classes, multiple market classes in Southern Africa region. So throughout this process, we worked with i2i on how valuable this would be in the system. Of course, the outcomes suggested it would be extremely useful to bring forward. This was provided over the private sector, and since the closing of the innovation lab, we obviously have had no further input. Additionally, we worked with C at Pabra using multi-stakeholder platforms to strengthen the value chains for uptake of these products, and we were very near a release of these market classes prior to January 2025. I'm going to turn my attention for the rest of most of the talk to e-extension systems and the need for being able to get these educational support approaches out to large numbers of people in a highly cost-effective manner. However, to do extension, let's be honest, I've worked in extension for over 25 years. One of the classic problems with traditional extension is it's just not cost effective and you cannot take it to scale. We're going to need to have high throughput e-extension systems that can scale to very large numbers of people at very low cost. If we look back in history, technologies that have been scaled and have become very useful are ones that have increased accessibility and reduced costs. Early cars were very expensive, increased accessibility, reduced costs, delivered to very large numbers of people across the planet. Evolution of the phone. Alexander Graham Bell's first phone call was incredibly expensive, but over time it became incredibly inexpensive, and we all have cell phones in our hands, at least those of us on this call, and many people around the world. DNA sequencing technology has been the same. From very expensive routes at the beginning to technologies that make it incredibly inexpensive. But for extension systems, we need to have strategies that allow people to have access to materials that they can pull. Pushing does not work. We have to have systems set up so people can pull. Scientific Animations Without Borders is a program that we've been working with this on this. It's based at Purdue University. We make short educational animations. We do research for scaling and scaling for research. So based on over 50 publications, we've been able to understand all aspects of this sort of quote unquote value chain of getting knowledge out to people at large scale. We've done a lot of this research in collaboration with the CGR centers and NARS programs. Content has been put out to numerous people across numerous countries, and it can be used on any number of systems, TV stations, schools, WhatsApp groups, etc. Where we stand now is we've developed and are currently deploying a highly scalable extension system that can sit on people's Android phones. If the platform is available for free, it allows anybody in the world to download over 200 innovations, research for development innovations in over 300 languages. Most of this content was made in collaboration with CGIAR centers and is freely available for anybody who want to use it. The platform allows anybody to download and use the materials online and offline whenever and wherever they want it. It allows for low cost and high levels of scaling, including in remote areas. We've also developed AI tools that allow us to advertise across the planet. And when people turn around and download, it costs us less than 5 cents a person. A hard launch of this occurred in 2026, and it's gone from 100 users at the beginning to 135 users across 100 plus countries, with hundreds of users using it each day in very remote locations across the planet. Content is used in many different places, in many remote locations. This app allows people to download and use materials online and offline and share it with numerous people in many different ways. This is just an example in a remote location in Burundi where somebody downloaded the app and had used it with over 50 different times at numerous locations in a small town in a remote area in Burundi. We have no idea of who this person was. That's irrelevant. The picture here of somebody watching it is just a picture that was taken in the general region and shows how somebody can view the materials on an app or on the app on a phone. Additionally, content has been used in very remote locations. This is an example in Lake Malawi, a small island where the app has been downloaded and used extensively across a small island called Legume. And again, we have no idea who's using it. It's irrelevant, but they're able to download the materials and they're able to use and share it. We can keep track of when and where content's been used, but we don't keep track of people's names, phone numbers, or any details. To put this in context, if you went out for a coffee and a pastry, a tiny corner of that pastry is what it cost us to get it on the phone in this tiny island in Lake Malawi. And this is occurring again and again across places in Central America, South America, Papua New Guinea, and numerous places across Asia and Africa. And just to put this in context, if you had that same cup of coffee, the cost of that same cup of coffee would be the same cost of getting it on 73 people's phones, and each person would now have access to thousands of Sabo videos and can share them locally within their community across their communities. The end goal is that people download the materials and they can use them to change behavior. We have numerous studies showing people download these materials and use them to change behavior. This is an example of a particular technique that was developed by i2i. We made a video, somebody downloaded it, used it, and changed behavior and was deploying it in the field. And we have a considerable amount of research studies showing change in behavior and economic returns on investment. This is just example of downloads and uses in multiple locations um, under two i2i programs we're working in DRC Congo. In a several month period, we had over 10,000 people download the app and begin to use it. In Malawi, close to 14,000 people. Tanzania, over 7,000 people. Zambia, over 3,000 people. Burundi, again, 1,400 people. Rwanda, a little over close to 1,200 people. So it's very easy for us to get this out to large numbers of people where they have this now on a platform that they can now scale content and use the content indefinitely and use the app indefinitely. Additionally, groups can download the app, put it on a tablet, use a solar charger, a small solar charger, download all the videos when they're near internet, take it out to a village, download all the videos in a given language, take it out to the village, leave behind a tablet, and there's essentially an encyclopedia of all the videos in the local language, and the solar panel can recharge it. We have multiple groups that are using this model, one group in DRC, and another group that's been using it in Nepal as well. To the right-hand side here, we see one-day use across numerous locations in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is a 24-hour period of uses across DRC, including in conflict zones. So we see a lot of use of the app and the content in conflict zones where we essentially can't travel. Additionally, we've worked with numerous CGR centers who have scaled this in many other ways. In Rwanda, Siet Pabre have been using our content on Pico projectors in school systems and have been training teachers how to use this content and scale. So there's numerous pathways by which this content can be used. So I know I've gone a little bit over time, but in conclusion, one of the fundamental things that was very influential to us in i2i is really thinking through what were the economic models of developing highly scalable extension strategies. And for that, we actually engaged with leadership at FAO and worked with several economists, high-level economists at FAO to develop models to understand what are the price points, what we needed to get to in order to have highly scalable extension in a global context. And actually, we've been able to meet those goals of what type of economic levels that we need to get to in order to have highly scalable extension systems. So these materials and this system and platform is readily available for anybody who wants to use it and wants to scale. It's all freely available on Google Play. It can be downloaded and used across systems as people see fit. Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank all the former colleagues at USAID for their ongoing support over a 15-year period that helped us to develop this platform and all the various content that exists on the platform. Thank you.